In schools today, it feels like there's a constant battle for time, right? New programs, endless new demands. They all have to be squeezed in somehow. And, what often gets trimmed are the core subjects, math, science, and language. We've probably all wondered if cutting an hour here or there really makes a difference. Well, today, we're going to dig into the data and find out the true cost of a shorter school day.
It seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? More time in class should mean better scores. But what if it's not that straightforward? We're about to unpack a massive international study to see if this common sense idea actually holds up, and more importantly, what it means when schools start cutting back on that precious time.
And believe me, we are not talking about small differences here. A typical 15-year-old in Denmark gets over 4 extra hours of core instruction, math, science, language, every single week compared to a student in Austria. That's a 55% difference. It just goes to show you how wildly the foundation of a student's education can change from one country to the next.
So, with gaps that big, you have to wonder, is there a simple link here? Do the countries that pile on the hours in the classroom just get better results? Let's take a look at what the data says on the surface. And you know what? The initial answer is a big, flashing yes. When researchers first crunched the numbers on instructional time versus test scores for hundreds of thousands of students, the connection was huge and overwhelmingly positive. It looked like, hey, we've got our answer right away.
In fact, the effect seemed absolutely enormous. A simple first look suggested that adding just 1 extra hour of math class per week would boost a student's score by nearly 25 points. I mean, that's a massive jump. If this were true, closing achievement gaps would be as simple as just adding more time to the school day. But it's never that simple, is it?
That first number is what researchers might call a naive estimate. It's so big it almost feels too easy. So you have to ask yourself, what else is going on here? We really need to dig deeper to find the true effective time, and only time. And that leads us to the real puzzle. Are we just measuring the effect of time, or are we actually measuring the effect of a really well-resourced, high-performing school that also just happens to have longer class hours? You see, better schools often have better teachers, more funding, more motivated students, the whole shebang. The extra time might just be a symptom of an already great system, not the cause of the great scores. So the way this study solved that problem was, frankly, brilliant. Instead of comparing students to other students, they compared each student to themselves. By looking at a single student's scores in math, science, and language, they could cancel out all those other factors like their family background or school quality. The only big variable left was the number of hours they spent in each class. So clever.
And when you do that, the real answer emerges. Once you strip away all the other noise, that huge 25-point gain, it shrinks down to a much more realistic but still really important 5.76 points. This is the true causal impact of 1 extra hour of class per week.
So while it's not the magic wand that first number suggested, this is a scientifically solid finding. More focused time in core subjects genuinely boosts learning. It's a real, measurable effect. But the story doesn't end here. Actually, the most important part is coming up right now. Because that average effect, that nearly 6-point gain, hides a much more powerful truth. Turns out, the benefit of that extra hour isn't shared equally by every student. And this is where the data gets really, really interesting. So the researchers broke down that 6-point average based on the students' backgrounds. And what they found has massive implications for any school thinking about trimming instructional time. Just look at this. The learning boost for more class time is 35% higher for students whose parents have lower levels of education. For these kids, school is the primary engine of academic learning, and it turns out that more time in that engine produces much, much bigger results. And the pattern keeps going. The study found a similar, powerful effect for immigrant families. Second-generation immigrants, so kids born in the country to immigrant parents, they see a learning gain from extra class time that is 30% larger than that of native students. For these groups, more time in the classroom is a powerful tool for leveling the playing field. And don't just take my word for it. The researchers themselves state this conclusion loud and clear in their paper, writing, "The productivity of instructional time is clearly higher for pupils from low education families. It's not a guess, it's a direct finding from the data." Okay, so what does this all mean for the real world? Why does this matter for schools right now, today, who are under constant pressure to fit more and more into the day? Let's just flip the logic here.
We've just seen that adding instructional time acts as an equalizer, giving the biggest boost to the students who need it the most. So what happens when we go in the opposite direction? What's the real price we pay for cutting that time?
So let's put it all together. First, more time works. It has a real causal effect on learning. Second, it works best for students from disadvantaged and immigrant backgrounds. And that leads to the one unavoidable conclusion. When schools shorten course subject time, they are disproportionately hurting the academic progress of their most vulnerable students.
This leaves us with a really critical question. The debate over the school day isn't just about calendars and schedules, it's a fundamental issue of equity. The data shows that instructional time is an incredibly precious resource, and when it's cut, the price is not paid equally by everyone. It's a cost borne most heavily by the students who can least afford it.